You are good to me. if you haven't already, begin to give some specific content to the it that's getting brighter and the it that's getting clearer and the it that is changing. Stay in this vein. I believe there's an opportunity through that prophetic declaration for what she is seeing, that if you can join in, because let's just be real. That song is being sung in the middle of some personal adversity. Amen? And so I don't want to pretend that we're worshiping in a vacuum tonight. It's a challenging time. It's a challenging time for many of you personally. And I want you to hear that not just as a song, but as a prophetic declaration right into some of your circumstances. So right where it might be looking dark right now, get very specific, and I want you to see it getting brighter. Right now, go ahead. Just start seeing it. This is how we change things. The prophetic declaration has come, and just begin to see light being shined. And as light is being shined, see it getting better. Stop the movie of it getting worse. Change the movie right now. Right now is an opportunity for us to join in faith. Exercise your faith right now. Whatever the it is, give the it some specificity. That's what I want you to do. We're going to stay right here for a few minutes because I feel like this is a vein that's opened up. Start joining in that.
Change.
just want to guide you along. We're going to stay in this intercessory vein. I want you to. She shifted it a little bit more in this last phase. Went from I can see to I will see. So I want you to begin to come into agreement with that on whatever you're seeing, whatever you're trusting for. I think the first step of faith was to go, I can see that. Ooh, I couldn't see it when I came in here tonight. I'm believing that for some situations. That if you started seeing something that you could not see 30 minutes ago, then that's why we're here. So stay engaged, stay active, stay in that seeing mode. And if you weren't here last week, this was right where we were last week, just beginning to see some very specific things and engaging in a new activist kind of faith that starts with you seeing. Starts with you seeing. So if you can see it, I want to celebrate that. And then she just added a piece to it. You will see it. Begin to join in that declaration inside of what you're seeing tonight. I could talk all night about why this is true, but it starts right here. We don't have to wait for the wind to blow through the trees and come in the building. He's here, he's in you, and it starts with faith that says, I can see that. I couldn't see it. Hope's rising, things are opening up. Things are opening up. Well, this is like surgery, where I can feel some disappointment and some heaviness starting to blow out of here. If you allow it to, you know, where you give your attention is where your energy goes. So be real careful tonight and see that thing shifting. If you've been giving attention to some negative stuff, because that's where you've been, then hear this as an announcement tonight that you can shift it. You can shift it. In fact, it probably won't shift until you shift it. Christ in you. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Come on. Come on. Engage with me. Don't be passive. I feel this. We're just gonna stay in this flow. Because I believe some things tonight can shift. I believe some things tonight are shifting. I believe some things in between here are shifting. See it. See it with me. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Becoming your eyes, becoming your expectation. And I'm starting to see so much already. You guys just keep feeling absolute freedom to just stay in this flow. This is so big. This is so important. I don't know if you can, I'm going to say something that sounds flaky, but if you can receive it tonight, I believe it's a prophetic declaration. You started out saying, every day gets better, every day gets sweeter. How many of you smell a sweet fragrance in here tonight? It's right over here. It's a tea olive. That was not in here last week. And I've been smelling that sweet fragrance ever since we started. And then you started singing, every day gets sweeter. What if that could be true? Right now. Again, I don't have my head in a vacuum. I know exactly what's going on in the world. I know exactly what's going on in a lot of families in here. It's been a COVID nightmare for some of you, hasn't it? Just go ahead and say, yes, it has. You know, and right in the middle of that, here she comes tonight singing, every day's getting better, every day's getting sweeter. And it's easy to miss that because the disappointment, the frustration, the fatigue, the discouragement, it's palpable on some of you tonight. And I get that, and I'm not being dismissive of that. I just say, begin right now to breathe in the atmosphere. There is an opportunity right now for every day to get better. And every day to get sweeter. And I hear it as a declaration. It's sweet in here tonight. And I just want to speak that over. Can I just speak that over you? That it's sweet in here tonight. that there's a sweetness. There you go. There's a sweetness swirling around you. And I can hear Paige singing, open up, open up. Just breathe that in. Breathe that fragrance in. And let what's happening in the natural simply become an opportunity to go to, tonight I'm going to shift this. I'm going to take advantage of what's going on out here on this Saturday night. Breathe them in. Breathe in the sweetness. That's all you can do with sweetness. When you smell it, just go. And I see that thing filling the lungs of some folks in here tonight, and it's pushing out disappointment. It's changing the composition of your interior space. If you let it open up, just let it happen. Let it happen. This is really good. Let me kind of tell you what I see happening while we're in this place. Paige, it's so interesting that you got into a Thanksgiving mode. Because Thanksgiving is probably the most important factor into you bringing what you just saw getting better and brighter into time and space. If I can get a little physicsy here for a few minutes, is that okay? So I want to teach this as we're experiencing, because I believe the Lord's showing. I know He's showing me something in the last couple of months about intercession that's changing everything about the way I pray. And I think that's not going to just be me, because I just know we're in a place. Okay, she started tonight. Everything's getting, well, one, He's getting better, brighter, sweeter, all of that. Then whatever it was, you started seeing it changing. It can change, then it went to it will change. So I'm hoping what you began to see a while ago, you can now see that thing completed. We good? And if you haven't, you've got some homework to do. Don't be ashamed about it. I think tonight, if you're real, and if you got ambitious in your praying, it might take some time for that picture to get very specific. And that's okay. I want you to stay with it. But I believe some of you tonight got to the place where whatever you began to see and you saw it with some degree of clarity, enough that when you saw it, it was easy for you to enter in with Paige into a place of thanksgiving. Here's what Thanksgiving does. Thanksgiving sees something that faith sees, but sees it in such a way that it's already done. So it's not a religious response. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. It is actually an elevated internal state inside of you that actually can be measured electrochemically. If you want to get technical on it, I hooked you up to a machine tonight. We can measure Thanksgiving. And if that happened in you, I say that to say this is real stuff. This is not just, oh wow, mystical stuff. It's very real. So if you're able to do that, then I believe Thanksgiving started happening inside of you. And when Thanksgiving happens inside of you naturally and congruently, that thing that you began to see begins to make its way from the unseen dimension into reality. So if all of a sudden you began to feel your belly jump around a little bit and go, man, this something's shifting in me, something is changing in me, then I'm here to announce it really is. Now all you have to do is just stay in that place. Just stay in that place until the thing that you felt like He showed you tonight starts manifesting inside of time and space. Because I believe some of you saw some stuff that's real, that's some stuff that's already present in the mind of Christ, and through an atmosphere tonight of encouragement, you're able to reach up, see it getting brighter, see it moving from vague. Have you ever had a vision like that starts kind of fuzzy and kind of gray, but then the more you hold on to it, it starts clarifying and you start seeing things happening. I believe some of you saw some healing happen tonight. And there it is. It's getting real specific. And you're starting to see that thing specific enough where it got real enough where you could feel Thanksgiving leap up inside of you. Anybody make that shift? Good. It's okay if you didn't, but that's where you want to get. And that's an indicator that you're far enough down the road of taking hold of something that now you've created an elevated state that this can happen and can flow through as we join our hearts with the energy of the Lord. Is that making sense? This is kind of where we got last week in this vein. But I want you just to kind of stay in this place for a moment. So just close your eyes just for a minute. And go back into that thing you were seeing. Go back into that. And just let him bring it closer. Let him bring it clearer. Work with him right now. I know this is new territory for some of us. It's okay. Trust me. Work with it. Begin to see things come together. Begin to see the shifts. See it for your book, for your screenplay. Okay? See it. See it coming together. See it coming together. See it coming together. It's getting clearer. It's getting brighter. That's good, you guys. Just stay right in that place. Let it get clearer. Let it get brighter. Let it get sweeter. I keep smelling that tea olive up here. It's all around me. Add an aroma to your faith. Or I should say, he's adding an aroma into the pavilion tonight to make this a little easier. Some of you, from this night forward, every time you smell tea olive, you're going to instantly go into faith for what you saw tonight. He's making it real easy. I want you to give attention to some real situations. In fact, I want to encourage some of you that in order to see what he wants you to see tonight, you're going to have to change the way you've been making the movie. I just need to say, some of you have been making the wrong movie. But there's grace tonight to shift it. Okay? Let him show you. Don't be afraid to reach for something tonight. Don't be afraid to reach for something. I feel a shift in my belly right now around what Paige was singing a while ago. Some things are opening up right now. Right now. It's opening up to see this in a new way. What seemed closed 30 minutes ago, what seemed out of reach, is opening up. I feel it. Somebody's going to grab a hold of that. It's opening up. I feel my belly opening up. So I know that means something's happening in the room. Something that's been closed. And even when I speak that, I feel like there's some resistance around that because it's been closed for so long. But I feel it opening up. I see it opening up. feel like something that got started years ago that got put on the shelf, that I feel like tonight, if you take it off the shelf, that there's an alignment tonight to begin to bring that thing that you saw years ago into your time and into your space, beginning right now. Just see if that feels right. Begin to bring it in. Pull it off the shelf. I see a shelf entitled disappointment, and somebody or somebody's watching live stream here. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Put it on a shelf called disappointment. Well, I guess that won't happen. But I believe there's an openness tonight. There's a freshness tonight. Right in the middle of a difficult time. And I see somebody reaching up to the disappointment shelf and saying, I need to pull this off tonight. And I want to declare over you, hope does not disappoint us, because the love of God has been poured out on this and on you by the Holy Spirit. Where you stand tonight is different from where you stood in front of that shelf years ago. You stand much deeper in a revelation of the goodness and the love of God. Every day's getting better. Every day's getting brighter. Every day's getting sweeter, because He's good. That revelation wasn't in you when you started praying about that, but now it's here. Begin to breathe on that. I want you to breathe on that. Let that thing morph into a color, shape, content. That's really good, you guys. Really good. Really good. If you need to stay in that place, just stay right in that place. I'm not going to take it too far off of where we are. Gary, can you give me a hand with this? And let's pull this just a little bit closer. Matt, would that be a problem if I go a little closer? I feel like I'm a million miles away. I'm not really going to shift. I'm just going to look, keep going. That's good right there. There we go. Perfect. That's a little better. I really want to encourage you guys to continue what you did tonight at home. I mean, this is real important. I want you to see it as homework, because some of you saw some divine intention tonight that's going to require your participation to bring it to completion. I think oftentimes what happens to us in meetings like tonight is the Lord will come and he will show us something, or we will begin to grab a hold of an intention for our lives in a meeting like tonight. And here's what we end up doing. We get back in our cars, we go home, and we sometimes stay in the same pattern that he's trying to break us from. In other words, in order to bring into your reality what you saw tonight as a kingdom reality is going to require a little bit of work on your part in terms of forming a pattern and a pathway to allow this thing to begin to take expression in you. Because if you revert back to what you brought in here, chances are you're going to perpetuate the old reality. And then this thing's going to end up on the shelf again. You with me? I don't know about your background, but I feel like maybe for the first time in my life, I'm learning how to do faith. And I'm learning how to do it not independent of love, but rooted and established in love. I'm beginning to now see some possibilities that have always been possibilities in my life, but I didn't know how to bring those things into time and space. I didn't know what was required of me. And I think a lot of us grew up in a theology where we just threw it all on God. Well, if he wants to bring it to pass, then he'll do it. I guess it's just not his time for me. You know, but I really am beginning to see a lot of what he wants to bring into your time and into your space, into our space, hinges on us being faithful to grab a hold of that thing and to take hold of it and stay with it until it begins to manifest inside of time and space. And I'm not sure we've ever learned how to do that. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm here tonight saying he's showing me some things about how to bring some realities that are already real in the kingdom dimension, and that it's obviously his heart to bring into our reality, and how to do that over time and space. And so that's why last week and this week we got in some veins I'm not sure we've been in before. Just in terms of this, that really what happened tonight and last week hinges on you. These guys came in and y'all stirred up. Real quickly, within 30 minutes, we had enough marching orders tonight to really kind of go, here's what tonight needs to be about. And I want to say for the third time tonight, I know the context in which we're meeting is challenging on a number of different. I don't have to sit here and go through the list, but I've been in dialogue with a number of you enough to know, and just if you've been listening to the prayer requests, we've just got a lot going on, and so it's easy to come in and just kind of feel like, golly, I'm discouraged. I'm not seeing things happen like I thought they would happen. I get that, and that's part of the reason we're meeting, is to come in here, release that sound that begins to re-energize you, where all of a sudden some pathways will begin to manifest that maybe you had allowed to close up. I've got some scribbly notes here that I feel a real burden to kind of process with you, okay? You guys good for a few more minutes? It's kind of early for us, really. But I saw some things in the last hour or so before we gathered today, some of which began to happen to me on my morning walk in my woods this morning. But let me say this. Let me start this way. If you were to take a walk with me on our 23-acre little farm we have off on Highway 39, you will notice that I have created a lot of meandering pathways. When we first moved there in 2017, there weren't any. In fact, one of my first goals was I want to create a perimeter path that I can create around my 23 acres so I can walk. I love to walk. I love to walk in the woods. I love to walk by myself. I spent an hour or so this morning just out walking those paths. So in 2017, we didn't really have any pathways at all. So Sharon and I got on the tractor and got my chainsaw out and an axe, and we began to bushwhack. And I noticed today that I could, in certain parts of the woods, I could go, there's a path that we created in 2018. I could take you right now and say, that's a 2018 path. Then there's a 2019 path. There's a 2020 path. And there's even a 2021 path. And so there may be a 2022 path before it's all the way. I've got snake paths all the way through where I can kind of time it out, where I can get a 2.5, 3 mile walk on all of these little paths on 23 acres. But what I want you to see is that over time, I've created some pathways that were not there 4 years ago. And he began to show me something about pathways that I think is important, because I feel like tonight, if you really engaged around this, and if you didn't, maybe when you get home, sometimes in a large meeting, I can get too distracted and I can't focus like I need to. But when I get back by myself, then I can zero in and kind of finish, or really grab a hold what was being kind of, I think, put on us here tonight. Feel free to do that, by the way. But I think some pathways have been presented to you tonight, to us. And you may be dealing with a raw piece of faith material that you carved out the first path to begin to see that thing clearer, to begin to see that thing brighter. What if what you began to see tonight may take the next 5 years to bring to completion? Do you have the staying power to stay with it in faith, in confident expectation, not striving, not having to go into warfare, but just saying, I see it. And beginning to let him add something to it as time progresses. I'm walking on pathways now that have been 4 to 5 years in the making. That's what I want you to hear. There were pathways that I created this year that I didn't even see in 2017. When I first moved there in 2017, I saw the 2018 path, and I probably saw the 2019 path 4 years ago. But I didn't see the 2020 path, and I didn't see the 2021 path. You with me? So I want to call you into some projects, into some expectation that may take some time. Now let me go a little deeper. Well, let me share this one, then bring me back to a little bit deeper. No, I'm going to go my original order. As I was walking this morning, I found that my mind was getting distracted. That ever happened to you? And I felt like the Lord was saying, you need to concentrate on the path. And this was before I got any of these scribbly notes. So I was just kind of walking up a slow incline from the back corner of my property up through these beautiful pine woods. And I just began to focus on the path in front of me. And I began to get every bit of my attention and my energy focused on the here and now of walking that path. And as I did, that pathway began to open up. And I began to hear something like this. There are only some pathways that you will begin to see only by way of love. There's a lot of stuff you can see tonight. But there may be some things that he wants to show you that can only be seen by being in a deep place of immersion and oneness with love. And furthermore, there may be some things that can only be brought to completion by you staying in an abiding place of love. In other words, faith won't be enough. I think too often we have separated faith, hope, and love. But if we can begin to bind those together, the greatest of these is love. So what can love germinate inside of you in terms of a faith that then begins to see something that can only be seen when you're rooted in love? I believe some of you began to see some stuff tonight that on some level might seem so impossible and so difficult unless you're walking that pathway called love. And on that pathway, what might seem difficult all of a sudden becomes, you know, he can do this. We can do this. I can do this. I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. Who strengthens me in my inner man. I feel that tonight. I feel the confidence sitting in front of you of the indwelling Christ, indwelling me as a dearly loved son. And both of those pieces are real important in terms of abiding in love. If tonight you are still abiding in any measure of guilt, shame, and self-condemnation, this won't work. You're going to in some way diminish the energy of his love flowing through you by guilt, by shame, self-condemnation, fear. Those four are biggie. Oh, let me add a fifth one, unforgiveness. I'm kind of chasing a bunny rabbit, but the bunny rabbit's very important that if I believe I'm seeing something that can only be accomplished by me staying on a pathway called love, what's going to energize that pathway? And what's going to dissipate that energy? And we just put it back on the list. Do your inventory when you get home. Am I still abiding in some measure of guilt? Not guilt is not, I did something wrong. That's actually good guilt. And good shame says, well, you ought to be ashamed of yourself for doing that. But that's okay. It's actually good. But you're not guilty. You're not shame in terms of your being, who you are. And if you can't yet stand inside of the energy of love and go, I see that, and my seeing it is necessary, and it's important that I'm seeing something. I believe tonight, each of us in this room has the possibility of seeing something unique that maybe somebody else in here can't see. And the fact that you're seeing it is vital to bringing it into reality. But I'm just snow-covered dung, as Damon loves to say. That won't cut it. Because what that's going to do is going to create a density inside of you that's going to interfere with the energy of love that needs a vessel that can receive that energy without abiding in shame, guilt, fear, self-condemnation, unforgiveness. That's why dealing with those issues are huge. And if he can root a group of people in beloved identity where I'm not walking in shame anymore, I'm not walking in self-condemnation. Okay, so what? I screwed up yesterday. Who cares? Get up, wash it off, and go. It doesn't disqualify me. I can make some serious mistakes now, and 5 minutes later, I'm not tripping out over it. I just get up and go. Because I realize it doesn't change his attitude toward me. Now that day's coming for us, where we can get up and where we're not, in fact, if I had a 15-minute conversation with any of you, I could assess real quickly whether or not you're still walking in guilt, shame, and condemnation. Sometimes I'll hear it probably tonight before I leave the pavilion. Now nobody's going to come up and speak to me. Really. I can pick up on this stuff. It's just Jesus, shame. If I hear it's just Jesus one more time, I'm going to slap somebody. That's a dead ringer for shame and guilt, self-condemnation. So it means I'm just a scallywag, but it's all the Lord. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. It's the Lord in you, the hope of glory. Listen to me. This is big. This is so big, 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 big. I may start singing here tonight. Father, I desire that you, this is Jesus talking, this is in red letters in my Bible, that they also whom you gave me. Anybody in here does not believe that you've been given to Jesus? So he's talking to you. May be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory, which you have given me, for you loved me before the foundation of the world. Good? Jesus possessed a glorious light. It's getting brighter. It's getting brighter. What I saw tonight earlier is some of you getting brighter. Now, let me rephrase that. I see the necessity and of each of us getting so filled with the glory of the Lord that we possess a similar glory as Jesus did. Why? Because he loved him from the foundation of the world. Guess who else he loved from before the foundation of the world? He loved you. And he saw you in his mind very clearly. And the whole purpose of our existence is for us to walk our lives out in such a way where it matches finally. And that's going to require you getting out of shame, guilt, self-condemnation, and probably for most of the people in this room, a whole lot of religion. Because that's what fed the shame, the guilt, and the self-condemnation. Well, it's just him. Well, not according to this, it's not just him. He possesses a glory that he possessed before the foundation of the earth. And then he says in the next verse, I've declared it to them, your name, and I will declare it, that the love which you love me may be in them and I in them. Now, y'all, Damon's been preaching this stuff all this past year. So this is review, but it's important tonight to understand that some stuff that you began to see tonight is going to require a beloved identity to walk it out. It's going to require a confidence in who I am and that he wants to put something in here and in here that he wants to bring into existence through your participation with him in oneness with love. And it's going to require more than doing it for 45 minutes on a Saturday night. So don't be surprised. This is not a plan. It's just kind of been happening. It's been interesting to chronicle where we've been the past month. This is our second Saturday night in the pavilion, but if you've been tracking with live stream, just how we're kind of evolving into this place where tonight almost can feel like a workshop. And I hope you're good with that. I hope you're good with, okay, this is requiring something of me. This is not me sitting back waiting for somebody just to preach it out. Because I think those days may be behind us for the better part. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, it may be behind us in some way. It's going to look so different because this thing is about this family seeing some stuff and bringing that stuff into reality. So a part of that is being able to walk on a path called love without guilt, without shame, without self-condemnation. You know my psychological background. I just want to go ahead and pass out the inventory, the 100-page question, the 100-question deal that says, okay, fill it out and let's see how you're doing. Some of those things are actually pretty good. They'll tell you real quickly, I got a lot of stuff I need to get out of me so that I can be that vessel that the frequency of love can flow through so freely and so uninhibited that then I can then become an expression of divine intention in the earth. So I was walking through the woods and I saw that pathway. And I want to tell you something I saw today for the first time in my life. And it's something that's not finished. But as I got to the top of the hill, all of a sudden I saw Sharon standing beside me in this emerging vision. And we were 80 or 85-ish years old. And we were both able to walk pleasantly, completely. We weren't feeble. And I saw my daughter-in-law standing on one side of me and my biological son standing on the other side. And out beyond them, I saw Finn standing with his wife. I saw Millie with her husband. And I saw children behind each of them. And we were all walking in the woods. I feel goosebumps as I'm telling you that. Now, I want you to make a picture of your future and do the same thing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go home. I've already shared this with her, and I want to get more and more specific on that thing. I've heard Damon say he's seen some of your husbands, some of your wives, some of your children. You see, and I want to work on this pathway that he showed me this morning, walking in my woods. There we are. I'm 80 to 85 years old. That means my children, my son and daughter-in-law, are going to be close to my age right now. And then their kids are married, which means what I saw was 4 generations. Now I want that reality, which I think came from heaven. Now, I believe that's divine intention for me. I don't believe divine intention is to take me out with cancer or COVID. And I know people died of COVID. And I don't think it's his divine intention for that to happen to you. I don't think it was divine intention for my sister to die an alcoholic-related death 8 years ago. And I don't think all that's had to be said about her life's been said yet. Because he's flipping time upside down in all kinds of ways. I thought maybe tonight we might get into a little bit of that, but I think I'm going to put it on hold because I feel this tonight. So I want you to see pathways that are being added over time. I want to say to you, I started back here in 2018 with new paths, right? You're not in the same place you were in 2018. How many of you lived somewhere else other than South Carolina in 2018? Raise your hand. Look around the room, raise it high. That's that's probably at least half the people in here, maybe more so. So you weren't even here. And I want to say to those of you who've moved here, which is about every one of us, and myself included, I'm not a native Saludan, that there's divine intention in you moving here. And there are pathways yet to be revealed for your life that he wants to show you, but it's going to require you walking in love. Now, what he also showed me real quickly, let me demystify it. I'm not sure he showed me. I saw it. And maybe he showed me. I hope he did. But he also showed me that in order for some of these pathways to be fulfilled, in order for some things that you saw tonight, in order for them to be filled, here's the hard part. Can you hear this? Some stuff that you are currently doing is going to have to be disrupted. And let me just go ahead and make you real frustrated. I think part of the reason of the pandemic and the second go-round of the pandemic, here we go again, is to disrupt some patterns. I don't think it's the primary intention, but I think it's just something that's happening. How many of you have been disrupted in the last 18 months? If you haven't been, somebody told you, or somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody, oh man, I'm just going right on like normal. Hasn't missed a beat. I don't think it's anybody in our family, but hasn't missed a beat in the last 18 months. Not head. Chances are, if they're not going to get disrupted by this, then I don't know what will disrupt them. And I hate so often that it takes a problem to come along before we make change. But I want to go ahead and just invite you in to the necessity of making some changes right now. I don't know where I am in the number of adjustments I have made since March 2020. I thought last fall, a year ago, okay, I think I get what this pandemic's been about. Then there was another page in March, and then we went round 2 on the pandemic, which has been almost worse than the first round. It's been worse here. We've got more people that have gotten sick this time around. My phone's been ringing today. Boom, boom. And I'm like, here we go. But this is the latest adjustment. So there are some, what I saw in the woods was there are some disruptions that you're going to have to embrace in order to see the fulfillment of what he wants to do. That's the hard part, because I can't get up here tonight and go, this is your disruption. Sometimes it's easy to look from the outside and go, I can see where Yahweh's doing something, because, when you're flying from 30,000 feet and you're not in the eye of the storm, it's easier to see. But part of that, you're going to have to figure out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But just know there's some course disruptions. There are going to be some disruptions in terms of how we have functioned as a family. We're already in one. I mean, who's not here tonight? Why am I standing up here? You see that disruption. I'm here tonight to tell you it's a good one. And it's going to end very, very, very well for all of us. It's already turning. You need to hear that. It's good. But it's a disruption. And we have to navigate that disruption. And you've got to see it rightly and stay in a place of abiding love, so that as you're walking the path and staying focused on the path, not 5 years from now, not looking this way, or even maybe most importantly what's behind you, but walking in completely here, now, staying engaged to see what the path begins to reveal for you. I was walking back close to getting home on my walk this morning, and I was on the boundary line between my property and my next door neighbor, who lives in another state, who grew up in Saluda but hadn't been back here in 20 years and probably hadn't seen his farm, and gosh, he hadn't been here since I moved here. And I looked at the difference when I'm walking down the path at his woods and my woods. And they were planted at the exact same time. In fact, at once upon a time, my property was contiguous with that property. It was part of a large piece of property that has since gotten divided. So the boundary line I'm on, once upon a time, was not a boundary line. So the woods were once upon a time the same. But the guy has not done anything to his woods since he's planted his trees. First thing I did when I bought my property 7 years ago was I thinned my pine trees. Got a logger to come in, and he did what's commonly called your first thinning. I'm almost ready for my second thinning. And it's obvious now when you walk down that road, his woods are different from my woods, even though they're the same. Now, my point in all that is, I made some course corrections he didn't make. And 7 years later, you can now see the difference. And so I want to call you into this question. This is huge. Lord, in this moment of time that I'm navigating on the path that I'm on, what do I need to do now so that my woods don't look like that in 7 years? Because I'm here to tell you, if you do nothing, they're going to look like that. And my son's a forester. You know what he told me is the prescription for that guy's woods? He said he's going to have to mow them all down. He said they've gone past the point of probably being rehabilitated. He said the pines are all spindly, they're thin. If you looked at it, you can't even walk through it hardly. It's so jammed together that he's just going to have to cut his losses and sell it off pulpwood, which is the cheapest wood you can, use in your timber. So now, I hope you don't hear that to go, oh gosh, I squandered where I was on my road 7 years ago. If you're here tonight, I don't think it's too late. If you're here tonight, I don't think it's too late to enter into the fullness of the intention that God wants you to do. But hear me tonight. I know some of you well enough. I can almost start pointing to you to say, you've got some course corrections to make. Don't hear that as condemnation. Oh, Sean, no. Go, thank you. Thank you. Let me just invite us all into it. Is that fair enough? Me included. There are some course corrections that we need to navigate. And don't let that become heavy. Don't let that become burdensome. See it as an opportunity that you've now seen something tonight. It's gotten clearer. It's gotten brighter, right? Make the adjustments that maybe this unique period of history we are in, make the adjustments that will bring you into alignment for what's in front of you. Because what's in front of every one of us in this room is absolutely amazing. I am the most, hear me loud, I'll say this officially. I am tonight the most encouraged about our future as I've ever been. I really am. I've seen some things. I know some things. I feel some things. We've got some adjustments to make. But as we make those adjustments, what's ahead of us is why you moved here. I mean it. It's why you moved here. It's to see the kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. It's about to see something rise up organically inside of a family that's tantamount to wholeness and wellness and restoration, and it's going to see the restoration of the cosmos. But in order for that to happen, you've got to navigate your path. And you've got to do it in the context of today. Real time with real challenges, with real situations that are going on. Okay? Don't blame the devil. Just roll your sleeves up and say, teach me, show me. Walk the path, and you'll be surprised what he shows you day by day to go, right there's the adjustment you need to make. And I'm here to tell you tonight, there'll be grace on it. But I'm telling you this, if you keep doing what you've been doing and you're not seeing fruit, it's not going to change the future. Your intervention's not just going to show up in the middle of the day because you've continued to do what you're doing, but what you've been doing is obviously not working, if you know about what I mean. Some of you go, yeah, it's not. Then right now, heed the call to go, okay, Lord, bring me in. And I'm here to, I'm smelling that tea olive still. It's permeating this room. So there's a sweetness in the place tonight in the midst of navigating the path. Now, let me just say this so that nobody walks away from here condemned. There was a time when Jesus looked over Jerusalem and wept because he said the things that made for their peace have now been hidden from them because they did not know the kairos time of their visitation. That's not true with anybody in this room. If you're here tonight, even though you might not be able to see the things that make for your wholeness, maybe that's a better way to say what I was trying to say in the last 10 minutes. Maybe the whole thing of course correction is simply this. Let me ask you this question. Because I believe the prescription is probably somewhat unique for every person in here. What is it going to take to make your peace? What is it going to take to make your wholeness? In other words, if Yeshua was sitting in front of you and said, Deborah, tonight I want to bring you into a wholeness that you've longed to enter into your whole life. Now, here's what it's going to take for your wholeness. Do you know? Because he said over Jerusalem, they didn't know. They didn't know the things that made for their wholeness, their peace, their shalom. And then, tragically, they entered into a place of chronos, time, where the kairos thing that could have given them their list was now hidden from them. It's kind of like my neighbor's woods. It's too late. So I hope you feel a little bit of the fear of the Lord on it tonight to go in real time and space. There's an opportunity to say, go home and go, okay, Lord, what's it going to take? I mean, she and I, we've been having this discussion, but I looked at her tonight when I smelled that tea olive and I went, Sharon, I feel like you and I are in the sweetest place we've ever been. And we're making course adjustments. And there'll be more. Because there were some things we were doing that weren't working. There were some patterns. There were some ruts. There were some paths that we still found ourselves walking in. And it's like he's saying, y'all are going to have to make some adjustments to get out of those paths. You see? That's really, really, really important. All right, I think I've said everything. 8:15, that's not too bad, is it? It's interesting, Paige, because I have here in my notes around the 2018, 19, 20, 21 pass, then I have a parentheses, and I have what's opened up. And you said tonight it's opened up. And that's what I want to speak over you tonight. I know you began to see, I know, number one, it was challenging for some of you to see some stuff tonight for the first time, given the context you're in. It's much easier to make the old movie than to make a new movie. And I'm asking you tonight to go, let's create the new movie. Okay, there I am walking down the road. There's my kids, there's my grandkids, there's my great-grandkids. Now, how do I want to tweak this thing? What do you want to add to it? How do I make it specific? I want to work on that movie and work on that movie and work on that movie until it becomes second nature. And that's real important. But some things may have to open up. But I want to say to you tonight, if you enter in to what he's, I believe, calling us into, it's getting sweeter. It's getting brighter. It's getting better. How dare you say something like that in the context in which we're in? Yes. Yes, it is. It's right where we are. Then what's going to happen a year from now? What pathway is going to be added 2 years from now? What pathway is going to be added 3 years? How many of you are seeing something that you know is going to take some time? Awesome. See, this is really good. Good. I mean, it's hard to tell sometimes whether you're engaging or not. I could tell some of you were. But then, okay, then write this thing down. And this is not the power of positive thinking. This really is leaning into, I believe it's the Passion Translation in chapter 11 that says, they reached into the unseen realm and pulled down the promises and brought them into reality. That's what I'm getting energized for. And I'm realizing it may take a little work, good work. It may take me keeping my eye on the prize, but the end game is going to be incredible. It's getting sweeter. I just want to speak that over you. And I know I'm looking at some of you have been through some challenges. It's getting sweeter. It's sweet in the middle of the stuff. It is. There is a sweetness available in the middle of the stuff. And it's getting brighter. I'm seeing it dialing up. I'm putting a light over each one of you. I'm putting a light over each one of you. I see a lot of lights in here. And I'm dialing up tonight the light over each one of you. Got to do it in a hurry because a lot of people here tonight. Last week we had 45 people. I think we doubled our attendance tonight, maybe a little bit more. Do it with me. Find somebody, come on, play with me a little bit. You guys are easy because y'all can see everybody. Find somebody out there and just put a light over them. Find somebody that needs some light. Just see them over there and go, my God, that guy needs some light. And put them over. It's easy to want to pick on Michael Ball, right? There you are. My God, that man needs a light. Somebody help him. You with me? I feel, this may sound goofy to you, but I feel my insides leaping when I made that shift. And when I started seeing some of you and you started smiling back at me, and I'm just seeing the light dial up over you even more. Is that just me being flaky, or is that a transaction? I feel it tonight. I feel it. I see it. I feel it first. I feel stuff, by the way, before I see stuff. It's a little harder for me sometimes to see it. I'll feel it. Some of you are just the opposite. You'll see it first, then you'll kick in with the elevated feeling of thanksgiving. That's what I began to feel. I began going, God, thank you, thank you. That light's brightening. It's brightening. Now let me ask you this. Can you join with me? Paige, did the light just brighten over you? Yes, sir. You said it brightened over me. I agree. Come on. Can you? And if I'm an issue for you, get somebody else. So I can't see it with you, but I can see it with Gary looking at me. That's fine. I'm good. I'm not offended by that.
Come on. I feel that tonight. I feel an energy. I feel a flow that feels supernatural that says, put a light over them, Johnson. Put a light over them. Find somebody in the room you've been frustrated with. And I want you right now to change that frequency. Stop it. Stop your frustration. Stop your anger. Stop your gossip. Stop your negativity. Because you're not helping it by doing that. You with me? Put a light over them. Back in our religious days, we used to say, bless them, Lord. Bless them, Lord. Well, it's going to take a little more than that because inside that little bubble thought's going, I can't stand that. No, I want you to change your attitude and go, put a light. See the light getting brighter. Because at core, you are a light. Damon's been teaching us months past, we are light beings at core, and we are. That sounds so new age, doesn't it? We are light beings. But it's true. Because he's light, he's love, and he's life. Now I feel that tonight. Can you receive that? Can you place it on somebody else? Can you stay in that place? Feel it shifting? Some of your countenances have changed already. Some of you hadn't, but some of you have. It's okay. Work a little harder, dial that thing in a little longer. Is it okay? I'm about to let you go. You feel that? I want to send you home into some assignments of starting to take what Paige sang and begin to tweak it and develop it and let your faith grow until that thing begins to spring up in you and you begin to feel life on it and energy on it and hope on it and steadfastness on it. We're going to keep working on it as he shows us. Didn't know we were going to go here tonight with the bright light and clarity and all of that, but you got us here. And I told her right before the service, I said, Paige, just get in the flow and we'll follow you. And so here we are. Stand up with me. I'm going to speak a blessing over you. And real quickly, while you're doing that, we're going to keep those of you, we want you to give. We've got offering baskets back here. I think all of you in the room know the drill. There's also, I think most of you give by Tithely and by electronic means now anyway. By live stream, you know how to do that. There are links listed in the event description on Facebook Live and YouTube for you to do that. And there's also a text to give option that'll be popping up on your screen probably right now. We're going to continue to monitor the weather every week in terms of whether to meet here. If you've been tracking what's going on in South Carolina with the coronavirus, which all of us in leadership have because it helps us make responsible decisions, the numbers have been incredibly high, as high now as they ever have been. And so we feel a real responsibility to try to keep the family safe without operating in fear and all of that. We have had a number of people sick. So wisdom is just kind of dictating we'll do that. Once we see this turn, then we'll go back and forth, inside, outside. So by Thursday or so this week, we'll know what the weather's going to be like. Hopefully it's going to be nice. And then we'll come right back out here. If it's not, we'll shift gears and we'll just kind of keep staying in expectation over this. That may be something some of you feel absolutely called to see this thing getting brighter, to see, okay, I want to see this coronavirus start shifting. You know, don't you? Yeah, I really do. I'm tired of people dying. I'm tired of seeing people I love get sick. And so, amen. Well, in the middle of that, we've got some good news, though. I mean, we want to share that. Tyler England's dad and mom, as you both know, had COVID. They're both home from the hospital, and that's just awesome. His dad was in serious shape. So, Tyler, if you're watching tonight, man, we just celebrate with you and that. Brenda Ellis last weekend when we were here was in the hospital with COVID-related blood clots. She's at home, and that's serious stuff too. So keep praying that those blood clots will be completely removed. I'm seeing a number of you that I know that COVID kind of went through your family and you're back and you're here. Bill, I know you and Brandy received an amazing word last week, and I think you told me that once that word was spoken, things began to shift immediately for your family. Brandy, I know you're also dealing with some tragedy in your family in terms of somebody that was killed in a wreck in Louisiana. I speak grace, supernatural grace and peace over you, that will not deter you, even in the midst of something that has to be challenging. So I want everybody right now to look at this gal right here and just dial in and just see the light of God's love getting intense over you. So much so that I'm going to anticipate supernatural encounter for you. Just be open. Even in the midst of sadness, even in the midst of loss, that's okay. You don't have to deny that. You don't have to push that down. Sometimes when those tears come out and you just feel them coming up, let them come up. That's when all of a sudden that light can come in and do some amazing things. At times where I have been the saddest and experienced the most sense of loss have been my most amazing times of intimacy. And it's also when I've gotten some of my marching orders for the next phase. So stay open, even in the midst of that. In fact, I lift you up right now above the blanket of sorrow that surrounded your family in Louisiana. I can see it like a dark cloud. Y'all join with me. And we lift you up above that blanket of sorrow. Come on up there with me. See it. See you just being supernaturally lifted up. And you will be above that sorrow. Yes, you'll feel it, but you will not have that worldly sorrow that beats down, that discourages. You may even hear it. You may see it. You may see it all around, but not you. We pull you up. We place you in the cloud. We place you in the glory dimension. We place you surrounded by love, supernaturally. See that with me. Now, you've had it happen before. Here we are again. And I hate you're there, but this will not take his life and his promises and his hope for you. Yeah, let that go in. Let that go in. Y'all just keep sending that in her direction. Yeah. Did I miss anybody, Kristen? Anybody else you're thinking of we need to affirm and to celebrate what's going on? Well, we love you guys. Glad you came tonight. Glad you were here. And we'll see you next week, okay? All right, good night.
Nations are turning and hearts are burning for the man of grace and truth. Nothing can stop him. There are no limits to what our God can do. Nations are turning and hearts are burning for the man of grace and truth. Nothing can stop him. There are no limits to what our God can do. This thing is turning around, and I see the kingdom coming down on earth right here, right now. Our God is moving. The broken-hearted, healed and mended, sons and daughters are restored. We are the image of the Father.